What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another spoiler recap here at Big Gold Bell Media. Cam and Damian G. Today we're going to talk about Tokyo Vice Episode 7, Season 2, premiering on March 14th on Max. Just like all episodes in Tokyo Vice, there is so much to impact. I don't think there's a scene where you're like, that doesn't really matter. We'll just not pay attention. You have to pay attention to the show, as we know. Because if you miss one little thing, you would literally be saying like, "Oh, who was that? Like, who did I just miss at this point?"
Right.
This was the episode of Jake finally returning back home, and we get to kind of see within his family life. What did you think when you actually saw Jake get on the plane the last episode?
I did not think he was going to make it home. I straight up thought he was going to get off that plane and go run into a story or his lady friend, something of that ilk, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess the biggest surprise is that he made it back to Uri. So
yeah,
Jake already surprised me within the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, same. And it seems like, I don't know. I feel like him and his sister's relationship kind of just picked right back up immediately as he got off the plane. Like it didn't seem like there was any type of grudge or hold bar for him to not returning home in such a long time. I mean, she made like a few little like nitpick comments that a sister would make or a sibling would make at you, but it makes sense, you know, like when you miss somebody, you're like, where you been, dude? Like, do you not love us anymore?
Me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Remember Christmas? Yeah, we still celebrate that. So if you want to come back sometime, that'd be great. But aside from Jake returning back home, we get to see the end result of Sato and Samantha. This love romance triangle that's still going on. You know, what happened to Erica? You know, I'm a little upset, I'll be honest with you, because I thought Erica was a good girl, to be honest. What did you think he was gonna like end up with Samantha again? Like,
because if you go back and rewatch earlier this season, they, you know, there was still some real weird jealousy between the two of them.
Yeah.
Then when Samantha was hollering at the architect, Sato's, you know, kind of being a little jealous. And then when she found out he was seeing Erica, she got jealous. So it's like Justice League, Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Eventually they were going to find their way back to each other. And that's what wound up happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. And now it leaves a lot of open questions, I think, for later on in either a later season or either later episodes, because it's like, all right, well, Erica's not gone, right? Like she probably still works for Samantha, and if Sato is still kind of around, how are they going to be like explaining this whole entire thing, you know, between each other? Like essentially he said her goodbyes last episode, thinking like, hey, I'm never going to see your son again. I'm not, you know, going to work at this club. I'm leaving. If Erica sees him tomorrow with Samantha on his arm, she's going to be like, oh, okay. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure it'd be like a feud, right? Yeah, it'd be like a little feud going on there, you know? But that's talk for a later time, I guess, whenever or if it even does happen. Because for our predictions, we've been kind of like, we've been batting 500, I think, right now. I'm going to say we ain't 100%. We haven't been hitting, you know, no major league batting average, but like I think we're doing pretty good right now, to be honest.
So far,
or at least we're on the right path, I think. So the show actually cuts back to Ashida's funeral, which is I guess it's been like almost like 6 to 7 days after his funeral, and now we're here and we see all of the other yakuzas that are there. And there's like a little bit of whispers and talk about Tozawa at the actual funeral, which I thought was kind of disrespectful. Not disrespect. I mean, it was disrespectful, but at the same time, it just seemed like everybody was deaf in that room.
Yes.
Because I'm like, the room's quiet, right? If I'm whispering to you and we right next to each other, I'm pretty sure everybody can hear our ass at this point. So I'm like, how y'all whispering about Tozawa? I'm pretty sure this thing is like echoing in the room. And of course, Hayama, he's up there. I mean, I guess he's going to assume position as the Oyabon, but it seems like there's a lackluster amount of confidence within the community of Yakuzas, because as you saw, everybody's like, hey, this dude is a hothead and he's probably going to like blow it. Did you think that this scene was going to go differently when you saw Tozawa actually walk in?
No, I didn't think it was going to be anything violent because
Mhm.
I believe in gang culture. It is
Right.
customary for even people who you may have had disagreements with
Mhm.
to at least show up to your funeral to pay respects
Right.
for the loss. Think
Right.
of it like if you're feuding with somebody and someone you both know dies,
Right.
obviously this person is going to come and pay their respects.
Yeah.
And at this point, when the funeral is happening, and I'm still on the train of, I don't know if Tozawa was really behind this, even though it pretty much the episode basically paints Tozawa as the guy who
Yeah.
put the
Like,
hit out. But
right.
I'm still holding on that 2%. I'm still holding on that Tozawa was not the main bad guy in this one. The Hayama
Yeah.
was the reason. But Tozawa shows up. He walks up on Hayama, pays his respects, kind of treats him like a little boy, hand on the
Yeah.
shoulder, almost
Yeah.
like there, you little lap dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by now, Hayama has that voice where it's very Osakan street
Yeah.
dialect.
Right.
So he's like, "Take your hands off me!" Like, who you
Yeah.
think you're talking to?
You could hear it in the Japanese, and I was like, "Oh, he said." I thought it was English when I heard it. I was like, "Oh man, that's crazy."
Yeah, so he's basically saying, be ready because we coming for you. And then
Right.
Tozawa says, "I'll see you soon."
Yeah.
So Tozawa knows that there's going to be some retribution coming, which later on in the episode, we start to see little snippets of
Right.
retribution. But I'm
Right.
not surprised there was no violence happening right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I definitely thought something was gonna go down. I mean, I don't know. I just knowing how much of a hothead Hayama is, I just thought,
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, obviously he doesn't like following protocol half the
No, he
time,
does
but I guess
not.
he felt like maybe, all right, I'm in this higher position now and all of my peers are around me. Maybe I need to show a little bit more respect so that, they'll respect me as well because us as viewers, we don't respect them at all. So I'm like,
No.
in that world, maybe he thought he could buy a little bit of respect by being somewhat civil at this point.
Right.
But of course, he goes off on his men after that, right? He's like, hey, we need to strike now. We need to strike fast. And of course, Sato's like, hey, I think we need to chill. And of course, Haima's
Wait.
like, hey, you disrespect me again. You're gone, buddy. And I'm just like, man, it's just so frustrating because Sato is almost the reflection of Ashida's voice or the conscience that Hayama
Yes.
should have.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if uh the Chihara-kai actually hear it in Sato's voice, like, hey, he's almost just like Ashida. This is something Ashida would have done, or this is the way Ashida would have went about it. But it just gets drowned out by Hayama's screaming because he's the new
Literal
leader.
screaming.
Like, no, literally screaming. I don't think there's a scene where he's not screaming, except for at the funeral where he's whisper screaming. So I'm not sure if that really counts as not screaming. But then we get to cut back and we get to see a little bit of Jake trying to readjust to seeing his family. And
Hmm.
his mom makes some like witty little comments and stuff. And we find out that Jake's real name is actually Josh. Um,
Yes.
and he's like, no, my name's Jake. My name's Jake. And why he changed his name to Jake? I'm not sure why. What it just sounds maybe cooler then, or like
Yeah,
what?
I think the name Jake sounds a little bit
Genius.
more mature than Josh.
Okay. Oh yeah. Joshing around. So yeah, I guess maybe that reference was very popular back in the 90s, and maybe he was like, nah, I'm not gonna be Josh, I'll be Jake now. So who knows? Who knows what the reason is behind it? I wonder if the real Jake Adelstein is actually named Josh Adelstein.
I wonder if the real Jake Adelstein is as whiny as Josh
Nope.
is at
No,
some points, especially
I
at the early part of this episode.
pray. I pray he's not. So I'd be like, my God. Okay. And then after we see their little like them catching up and he gets to talk to his dad for a bit. I'll be honest with you, when his dad was talking to him and he looked like he had tears in his eyes and they felt like,
Yep.
that they were having this little moment. I seriously thought that when we get ready to cut later on to the birthday party, his dad was gonna reveal that he had like some type of illness or something. Like
Same.
I felt like they were really pressing for him to come back for the 60th birthday party because I'm thinking like, all right, maybe they didn't want to tell Jake over the phone. They won't tell him in person. And then there'll be like a new reason for him to really spend time with his family. But come to find out, the dad's fine. They just missed their son. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's better than what I thought it was going to be. You know, I'm like, damn, that was sucker the dad died, but he is healthy, everybody. So don't worry about the father at this point.
Don't worry about that. The father's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Next, no, we might not see that guy ever again, to be honest with you at this point. Might be the last time. And then we kind of cut back and we get to see what's going on in the world of Detective Katagiri. And he is finally getting to kind of talk and interview one of the shooters that I guess turned himself in his house. So he probably has a breaking and entering charge as well as along with murder at this point. So he's just racking up charges at this point. And come to find out, he's actually the kid that was going to shoot Katagiri in the not the drug bust, but
in the
when
first
they did
bust.
their first bust on one of the Yakuza I guess gangs. The kid got the upper hand on him and took his gun and was like sitting there getting ready to shoot him. And Katagiri actually asked him a question. Then he said, "Why did you not shoot me? You know, if you're willing to do this murder, why didn't you shoot me?" And he's like, "I'm not no killer." And he's like, "But you killed Ashita, bro." Well, what are you talking about? And he's like, "Well, that's kind of your fault." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, you busted my gang. I didn't have no job. And I got approached by Tozawa to do this murder. So I had no money. I had nowhere to go." And I'm like, wow, he finally got him. We finally got Tozawa where we want him now, right? Like, dude's going away. Thank God.
Supposedly,
right? That's always a scenario with Tozawa, man. He's always got some type of, I wouldn't even say backup plan, but he's always got eyes and ears somewhere, I think.
Got a card up his sleeve always.
Yep, always an ace. And come to find out, he actually gives him the location of where he hid the gun, the shooter. So Katagiri goes, picks up the gun. He's like, "Man, we got a confession. We got the gun. That boy going to jail. Like, this is it for Tozawa." Nah, folks, there's more to this story. Don't worry. We're gonna get there in a little bit. And then we get to see Jake kind of still at this cookout, right? For the 60th birthday of his dad. And Jake is basically just presenting, or a lot of people are just coming up to Jake because they've learned about his foreign travels and where he works. So they're very interested, right? I mean, I guess this is a smaller town in Missouri. Didn't really specify where it was or what the actual location was, but they want to hear, like,
I believe it's Columbia, Missouri.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So they want to hear these like crazy tales of the East. You know, nobody's been there. They've probably stayed in the town probably most of their lives. So they're trying to figure out, like, what is it like, you know, to be Jake Adelstein, you know? So I thought that was a cool part about it and stuff, because I'll say right now, I think I told you this backstage earlier. I said, I'm starting to like Jake more, right? He's kind of whiny still, but seeing him with his family, he seems like, I don't know, a lot more normal, I guess.
It humanized him.
Yeah, humanized him for sure, because good to see how he was not created, but like how he got to where he is now. You know, the people that raised him, the people that nurtured him, what type of things they instilled in him. And his family seemed very loving, man. Like, leaving his family, I'm not sure. I mean, it's obviously a choice, but maybe he felt like he was smothered. What do you think? Like, what do you think the reasons were for him to really, like, just get out of there?
Well, I think that's it right there. You know, later in the episode, he's talking to his sister about what does she want to do, because she was into journalism as well.
Right.
So he makes it seem as if just the town was too small for his ambitions.
Yeah.
He wanted, like, it's the proverbial, I need to leave the small town to pursue my dreams. So that's kind of the method I got from Jake as to why, because at first I thought he left because his family might have been abusive, you know, verbally abusive.
Right, exact same.
His dad was an alcoholic, you know, something like that. And it's more of I left because I didn't want to be stuck in this small town. So even though apparently his father was involved with crime scenes.
Yeah, I guess that's how he got started. Yeah, like his dad either did so he's either a detective or either he was they didn't really specify. They made it forensics, or either he did coroners. they mention a lot of both in there, but never really specified exactly what his job was. I know he dealt with crime scenes though, no matter
Yes.
what it was. So I guess he took Jake on the rides that he would go on to go to these crime
Mm-hmm.
scenes. And Jake even made a little joke about it in the speech about his dad at the 60th birthday party that, like, you know, even taking me on these crime scenes didn't mess me up. But obviously it made him more ambitious to want to see more, because I'm pretty sure I mean, I don't know what the death toll is like in that city, you know, but it's a small city, so you probably don't see a lot that you would see opposed to going to a major city like Tokyo, you know.
Sure.
Um, yeah, which makes sense. So, I mean, it just seems like Jake just seems like an ambitious guy at this point, and he got
Yeah.
some great advice actually from one of the attendees at the party who actually was a journalist that he used to follow as a kid, and he
Yes.
worked for the local paper. And he asked Jake, you know, like, hey, you know, I can offer you a job if you want to stay here. And Jake's basically like, yeah, it's kind of small. I really love what I do where I'm at. And he's trying to basically insinuate that, Jake, what type of writer or what type of journalist are you? Because there's two types of journalists: the ones that go home or the ones that can't go home.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that, like, you know, the ones that go home are the people that separate work from home and they just get it done. They go home, they're done, right? And Jake is obviously not that guy. He's the one that
No,
can't
he's
go
not.
home because he cannot disconnect himself from the excitement of the journalism that he's writing right now, especially when he's getting all these great cases together. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel. I mean, if I was killing it like that, no pun intended, I would be like, hey, you know, I got tons of stories, man. You know, I could go stories for days. But he seems like he wants to be the most interesting guy in the world. What do you think about
Yes,
it, honestly?
that's exactly it. Because when he was holding court during the party,
Mhm.
he's talking about, you know, the what was it, the subway hotels where they initiate weird, you know,
Yeah.
public sexual thingamajigs, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
all right, cool, but
Yeah.
he's saying it, talking about it as if it's a big deal, like, oh, my exciting
Right.
life. So obviously he's not going to want to go home at the end of the
Right.
day, because home is nowhere near as exciting as the job,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know. So I think that's where the comparison that the journalist was making was saying, okay, but if you're going to be that person who can't go home, pretty much saying, don't forget who you were before all this.
Mhm.
Don't lose yourself along the way to be something you may not be.
Yeah.
And again, Jake's a small town kid at this point, trying to make his heyday in Tokyo, making his way, all these exciting cases. But there's a little bit of Jake that, what's the phrase? Too big for your britches. And I think
Yeah.
that's what they were trying to get across to Jake at the party.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And honestly, with all these things going on, he's getting all this great advice. Jake cannot get his mind off of Masaki, to be honest with you. Because I'm
Bro,
like, he's wearing this little like anklet bracelet on his wrist
that
that
she
she
gave him last episode.
I'm like, man, he is whipped. Boy, he just that can't stop, can't quit her. I don't think he'll ever quit her. And it's funny because the sister even asked in the car ride from the airport, do you have a girlfriend? You know? And he's like, just gives that the little goofy smile, you know, he does. He's
Yeah.
like, maybe, I don't know. Knowing daggone well he got something like a girlfriend
He got a
when she
side
wanna
piece of a
be
side piece.
when he wanna be. He's the side piece to her side piece. He's a side piece, a side piece. It's okay though. I mean, get in where you fit in, brother. That's all I can say at this point. And it's crazy because we get to actually see Masaki and what's going on, because the last time we saw her, she was being she got caught coming out of Jake's house.
We thought she was getting got.
by her
We
driver.
thought she was getting got. Yeah.
I was like,
Mhm.
that's it. I said, well, she gone. That's it. Come to find out, she gets approached by the driver. The driver's like, well, look, Tozawa wants you to sign these papers. And if you don't sign the papers, I might end up telling them what I saw happen.
Mhm.
She's like, no, you know, we just friends. I was just saying goodbye. You was in there quite a while.
Okay.
Like,
Sure you were. Mhm.
the long goodbye. I don't know what's going on here. But I guess she signed the papers. Did they even say what the
No, they did,
paper
but I
said?
think it's the house.
Okay, that's what I thought. I knew she was just signing something, but there was no like type of subtitles or text to like translate what it was. So maybe it's the house deed that she
That's
was
what I
talking
thought.
about
I
getting
thought
the
it was
house
the
for the
house
mom.
deed. Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, I'm hoping that's what it is. If not, she should have read that paper because she immediately signed it. She didn't read
Because she
anything.
was all
So
scared reading it. She's like initialing real small, like, so
she messed up. I'm pretty sure she messed up.
she messed up.
She's not out of the equation to get Paulina at this point. I think
Not
he
Paulina.
already got
No.
this. He already got the signature. So like, I don't need
What
you
do I
no
need
more.
you for now?
Peace out. That's it. Thank you so much, Masaki. And then we get to kind of see. So of course, like, all right, every episode, like we say, they're jumping, right? We're jumping back and forth to all these different scenes and what everybody's doing. And then you see Emmy. She's still trying to figure out who is the mole in the newspaper department or in the at the newspaper department, I guess we call it. At the paper. And she basically assigns Tintin the special case. And Tintin is just
He's like a little dog. Like, yes, man.
Like, yeah, I mean, he didn't got nothing else to do. When you look at Tintin across the room, he's just sitting there like like he's just staring into space. Like he's like, well,
oh shucks.
Got 2 more hours till I clock out. So just gotta make it. Don't get fired until then, you know. So
but to your point, I think that's exactly why Emmy picked him, was because she needed someone to do the digging of everybody at the paper to see like who may be the mole. Let's go check out their behaviors, you know, their stories, read into their activities. So basically be her spy, right? Yeah. So of everybody that we've been introduced at the paper, who's the most likely to be the little lapdog? Tintin. Yeah. So if we need a fall guy, if shit goes haywire, Tintin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's all buttering him up, talking about, hey, I respect you. You're a hard worker. Come on.
He has no idea either. Like you
setting that boy up for failure.
Next season, he won't be working there. I'm pretty sure. He
may not be alive.
Working. That's true. He might find out too much, and then they'd be like, "Well, what's that kid's name? Tintin? All right, yeah, we gotta take him out."
He getting Paulina also.
Tintin and Masaki get Paulina in the same episode. I'd be like, "Wow, they're really chopping heads on here." Jesus,
literal.
So, and then we kind of get a flashback, or not a flashback, but we get to see in the next scene that Samantha this whole time has been hiding the briefcase. After the shooting at the Onyx Club. And I'm like, I think we were both trying to figure out when did she have time to get What? I'm like, oh, I thought I had forgotten that the architect had the briefcase with the plans in it, to be honest with you. I was so concerned about his life. He was dead, right? Not Samantha was like, oh, he dead. But I gotta get this briefcase though, because I don't want to die too. So she's like, that briefcase is money right there. I can go to pass that information on to somebody. Who knows? Obviously that information is gonna get passed off to Ashita, but maybe she's thinking like, you know what? Maybe I can present this information to Hayama now that he's gonna be the next guy. I mean, of course, she don't like Hayama already, right?
Right.
Because he was coming to the club every night, being a prick, being rough with the girls, throwing stuff all over the place. Like he ran the place. And at the time he was only second in command. So it's like, hey, you know, pump the brakes, bro. You're not there yet. But maybe that was the 4-minute plan. Maybe he knew at some point, hey, I can just go ahead and act however I want, because
that's why I think he has something to do with Ishita's death too.
Yeah, this could have been a long time type coming thing, because this whole time we've been seeing Hayama act a certain way, and it's like, was he always like this? I mean, I don't know.
He was in jail for 7 years, and then he got out, and all of a sudden he's the second in command after getting out of prison. So this might have been part of his plan all along.
Blipped and he just come back and he in the same grade. That don't make sense to me. I would have had to put him in a program to make sure he okay, right? Like
my man had Yakuza FMLA, bro.
I'd
He
be like,
had
all right, well,
Yakuza
listen, we'll
FMLA.
start
He
here.
came back to the same job.
But if you do well, we're gonna bump you back up. But if we see some signs of crazy, we gotta take you out. But obviously, they're just like, nah, we need him. We're just gonna keep him in here. So throughout this time, when all this is going on, of course, I think Samantha actually decides she's actually gonna reach out to, I guess, one of her girls who's in contact with some people that have other clubs, right?
Yes.
Because her whole thing as a, God, what's it called? It's not like a madam, but
They call her Mama.
mama, right? I guess mama-san or
Yeah.
just mama. Yeah.
Yeah,
As
Mama-san.
the mama-san, she wants to look after her girls still regardless, right? So she
Right.
decides, you know what? I got to go out here and try to find a place where they can work because obviously my club, we saw the state of the club. It's still
3
still
months.
being investigated. There's blood still on the floor. It's been like 8 days. And I'm like, who is cleaning this up? Why is it not dry? Right at this point, I'm trying to figure this out.
It's still a crime scene.
We need carpet. We need everything in here. And at this point, she don't have nothing coming in to be able to, refinance or change things in the club. And plus, her club, since it was in the newspaper, is probably already marked as like a hot spot not to go to.
Exactly.
Especially during this time in Japan where they don't use guns, right? I mean, Jake even said it that people don't use guns, and it's illegal to use guns. And if you even have a bullet, you get a fine, or you get days in jail. I think, or even having a bullet. So for that being like the ultimate crime, or I guess the ultimate crime in Japan during the time, and people see that in the paper, they're like, nah, I'm staying away from there. This place is basically bad news. Let's go somewhere else. And that's going to affect Samantha's pockets. Do you think she's going to be able to recover from this?
Who, Samantha? Look,
yes,
I first off, I don't like Samantha. She's probably the most selfish person on this damn show. Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's one. So she's meeting with the insurance company, and she really needs that insurance money because, like we said, maybe to pay her girls, maybe to start over. And they're telling her, hey, it's going to take a minimum of 3 months for you to get your money. So you're going to have to wait, lady. And, because she's Samantha, she's like, no, I want to talk to your manager or something like that. And she tried to carry her way through a situation that didn't work.
Yep.
So now she's left with trying to find a job for her girls. And then what winds up happening? She winds up meeting with a friend from the original club, Onyx, thinking, hey, I just want to catch up with you. No. What's Samantha do? I need a favor. Samantha is the ultimate I need a favor person, and she will do nothing for you in return.
Yeah.
So even the girl tells her, no, I'm not. You are you are excommunicado. You are John Wick. We ain't messing with you. And what happened? The paparazzi come out of nowhere.
Where do they come from? I'm like, TMZ is not playing over here. Like TMZ before TMZ. That's crazy.
And the police called her in before that about the tattoos of the shooters because she was playing dumb.
Yeah, like she didn't know anything, right?
Right.
So they even came back to her again and tried to check her and say like, hey, why didn't you say something about these tattoos that you saw? Yeah. Because she obviously shared that proprietary information, I believe, with Jake, right?
Yes.
But I don't think she knew that Jake was actually going to go right back to Katagiri and just tell him, hey, we're looking for these people with these tattoos. It's linked to Tozawa. We can take them down.
Yeah.
Samantha is digging her own grave right now. Okay. She's just shooting herself in the foot at this point by holding this information from the people and giving it to the people she feels like she can trust. Just like Samantha, everybody's in for the cells for the most part. Everyone's ultimate goal is to take down Tozawa, but second, look out for me. It seems like, I don't know. I mean, it seems
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Everyone's looking out for themselves, except for maybe Katagiri, because I think he's looking out for his family. So
that's true. That's true.
I can respect Katagiri looking out for his family.
Yeah, that's definitely his ultimate goal because he feels like if I bust Tozawa, that will probably put the end to my problems getting all these death threats at my house. Like,
yes,
originally we don't know if it's Tozawa, I guess you could say, but let's be honest here, it's Tozawa.
2 + 2
we can get it. I mean, unless there's some other higher power that hasn't come into play yet that we don't know of, then right now it's Tozawa. Tozawa's the issue. So I guess they're sitting here, and well, Jake's actually having a conversation with his sister, and she's writing something for her newspaper, right, at her school.
Yes.
And throughout the conversation, we kind of find out that the sister was having either some mental issues, or either she had like relapsed
Yep.
from I guess you could say drugs. I'm not sure exactly
Yeah,
what it
it's
was.
mental. It's mental issues.
Mental issues.
Mhm.
And super random, he gets a phone call from Japan, from Katagiri. And Katagiri
Mhm.
is basically saying like, hey, we just got which was a cassette tape at this point, right? We just
Yeah.
heard it on a cassette tape, a recording of a Minnesota hospital calling Tozawa and actually asking him, or trying to actually get a bill from him, from the insurance.
Yeah.
And they're like, what was he doing in America? How did he get on America? He's on a no-fly list. So that's why everybody
Right.
thought he went to, I think, what, Taiwan,
Mhm.
to
And he was
actually get
off for
this
6
liver.
months.
Right,
Right.
gone for 6
Mhm.
months, went to go get the liver. Come to find out, and it's crazy. I think you said this before when you were talking about it. You said that all you hear is Tozawa's voice on the phone, and he's like,
Wrong
wrong
number.
number. He's like, wrong number. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. When people call that I don't know, I'd be like, click, nope, not answering. This is before caller ID, everybody. So he
Of
had no
course.
choice but to answer that phone. So yeah, essentially at this Minnesota hospital, he somehow got into America,
Mhm.
was able to get a liver transplant,
Jump the list.
and yeah, and Jake went to go investigate. So Katagiri's calling him like, hey Jake, I need you to go to Minnesota. It's like an hour flight for you. I'm in Japan. I'm not getting on a flight to go there if you right up the street, right? Like, I need their
Right.
help. So Jake gets there. His dad actually makes some calls to actually have him talk directly to the doctor that I believe either does a transplant or some type of study at the hospital.
He's the main person in charge of like anything when it comes to the liver or anything
Right,
like that.
right,
Mhm.
right. So he gets there, he talks to the doctor, and they're having like a brief little conversation. The doctor's very dismissive though. The doctor's like, hey, I got a little bit of time. So Jake gets like 2 questions in, and he actually asks about transplants. So he says, I guess, what is the list like, or how long is the wait for a list
Wait.
on the list
Mhm.
for a liver? And he says 5 years, right?
Mhm.
Okay, strike one. So he's like, okay, well, what percent of patients die before getting a liver? He said 10%. He's like, all right, strike two.
Well, that was the
Something
third
going on here.
question. The second question
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
about
the international
foreign
flight.
dignitaries,
Yeah,
internationals
yeah,
versus locals.
right,
And the man tells him it's only people who are in America or here.
right, right.
And so we're looking at 0 for 3 at this point
It's not going good. It's not going good. He's
until
striking out. And then eventually says to him, he says, wow, that's a really nice watch that you got on. He even says
Mhm.
the name brand of it. I can't remember what the name brand was, but he's like, those are very rare. All right, so listen, I want to write a great article about you, but I will write a bad one about you if you don't tell me how you treated a foreign international. And he ended up skipping the
crime
list
boss.
for that watch. Basically
Mhm.
just calls his bluff 100% right in his face. And the doctor's like, whoa, wait. I mean, he's like, no. You're busted, bro. Like I got you red-handed. So he ended up closing the door. That's what we see. The doors get closed. So I'm guessing he explains everything to Jake, and Jake basically calls back to Katagiri
Mhm.
and lets him know everything that he found out. And Katagiri's like, hey, I need you back here because a lot of people are gonna die. And he's like, man, I'm not supposed to leave for like another 14 days. Like, I'm supposed to be here with my
4 days.
family.
4 days.
Oh, 4 days, sorry. 14 would have been too long for him, probably. So he's like, all right, I'm supposed to be staying here longer. He's like, listen, people could die if you don't leave. So essentially, Jake gets on a flight, and it's a connecting flight to Dallas, Texas, I believe, right? Or was it just Texas?
Yes.
Dallas, Texas. Okay, there you go. And he calls his dad from Dallas instead of going back home to talk to his sister and his dad and his mom and explaining why he really has to leave and why this is so important. He decides to make a phone call, and his dad is like furious on the phone. Did you think his dad was going to explode more than he did? I probably would have.
No, I didn't actually because
Mhm.
because remember at first I thought they would have had an explosive relationship, Jake and his
Yeah,
dad. But it's as the evidence the episode played on, he's a real sensitive cat.
yeah, he
Like
is.
I got the
He is.
sense that his dad has a big heart, just loves everybody. like coming from the heart for everything.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason Jake called his dad to break the news to the family, because he'll do it in a less Jakeian way,
Right.
say, hey, Jake's doing this for the betterment of other people in Tokyo, right? To save some
Right.
lives or what have you. Because
Right.
his dad would know about crime scenes and like criminal activity. So he would be more empathetic to why Jake is going back over to Tokyo to soften the blow
Right.
for the family.
Right. Right. And I still think it's going to probably have like I don't know, I wouldn't say detrimental, but it's going to be hard for the sister to probably.
Correct. I want to see what happens with that relationship.
Yeah, like I would hate for something to happen to her in the next episodes or next two, but I feel like she's gonna take it pretty rough, because I mean, obviously she's starting to get better from relapsing, and now, it's just gonna be hard, having that separation from your brother when he was kind of like a crutch or a main person you could probably talk to. There's only the two of them, you can talk to your parents, but it's not the same as talking to a sibling or someone close in your age that you can really relate to. So it's kind of tough. So hopefully, all is well with her in the next couple episodes. I hope. And then we kind of peel back and we get to see Sato and Kaito, right? And Sato is just trying to save his brother still, ultimately, right? And at first we're thinking like, okay, Kaito's starting to get it, right? He's starting to understand that like his brother really wants to look out for his best interest. So he needs to kind of leave this life behind. And what happens? All the bad stuff that Sato says about Hayama, Sato runs right to Hayama and tells him, hey, my brother's talking crap about you. He wants you to he wants me to stop talking to you and wants me to leave the gang. So of course, Hayama approaches Sato. And did you think they were really going to like fight, or how did you think this was going to go down?
I straight up thought this was the time we've been talking about. Like, yes, Hayama's going to get his.
Yep.
No, he did not.
No.
He banished my man Sato. He banished our boy. Said, if you don't leave, they pulled him close during their fight and said, if you don't leave, I'm going to slice your brother's throat right here.
Yeah. He always uses his brother as leverage, as leverage on him, because like he'll do anything for his brother at this point. And I would say that's probably one of the most respectable things about him, is that he really does care about people. So for him, it's like, ultimately my family is everything, even though, they didn't have my back before. I want to be there for my brother, like other people should have been there for me. But it's kind of his downfall too, because it's like, regardless, Hayama don't care about your brother. Your brother is obviously just another soldier to him that he will just use for any and other purpose. And at the end of this episode, we'll talk about it in a second, we see that's exactly what Hayama decides to do with Kaito. And the next thing we actually get to cut to before it gets ready to end is that we get to see oh my gosh, the witness, right? So Katagiri and the deputy director are driving in the car trying to transfer this witness to a safe house or a safer location.
They were taking him to the DA's office.
DA's office, right? So I obviously to write down his confession, or for his confession to be valid, right? Right. Here comes a motorcycle, right? We know a motorcycle with somebody on the back, wearing all black with two darked out helmets. That's murder, right? We like, murder coming down the street, and they don't see it. I mean, they're in the only blacked out tinted vehicle, so it was kind of suspicious, right? I'm like, who picked this car, right? And I think you said it before too. You were like, man, the deputy got
Deputy Nagata. Yep.
She a little shaky. Do you still think? I mean, like,
okay, so if you go back to the conversation that Katagiri was having with Nagata, he was saying, listen, we can't trust anybody. We can only keep it between us, him and her, and the people at the DA's office that, they're going to escort him, right?
Right.
So if no one knew about it, why did they know what car to hit?
The only car that got shot up.
Is there? Why did that vehicle not have bulletproof glass?
What? Did they not have bulletproof glass in the 90s? Was that not a thing? I'm pretty sure it was invented.
Yes, it was.
Ain't no way that's a thing.
So 2 + 2 = 4, and I honestly believe that Nagata has something to do with maybe at least leaking some sort of information,
Yeah.
because this isn't the first time where something's gone down where you're like, wait a minute, the only one that knew this was Nagata.
Right.
How did this happen? So I honestly think she has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, and it does make a lot of sense because the whole
And then with the
WB
gun,
director kind of just popped up, right? Like,
right?
seemed like
Oh,
she was
I'm in this
installed.
task force. Yeah, let's start this
She's taking
task
down the
force.
think about it though, but all the people she taking down has never been the big players though, right?
It's
It's
always
always
been the
been the
small
little
fish.
peon. She's like, oh, let me work my way around the outside, and then eventually we'll just have one big group in the middle. If she's really working for Tozawa, but if this is Tozawa's plan, this is a crazy plan, bro. Like he's thought of it all.
Yes,
It's honestly evil genius level at this point, because it's like he's got everything covered, you know?
yeah.
And he's obviously got his hand in everything, but I'm just so at awe at this point. Dude was dying like a few months ago, and he's
He was
like,
on death's door. Now
yeah,
he's back and better than ever with a
liver.
new liver.
He got to visit America. He probably went to the Empire State. He probably did a tourist attract. He probably had a great time out there.
Got a new side piece, you know, a younger side piece than what's her face. So he living life.
He got more
trying
energy.
to run the Olympics.
New liver, more energy out here. So, and then we kind of all right. So then this show starts to come to completion when we see two mass assailants actually approach one of the nightclubs, or I guess it was one of the it looked like one of those like the prostitution alleys.
Yeah, it was like a hangout.
I'm not sure if it actually
gangs.
was, but it looked like, it looked like one of the rival gangs like territory, and they basically one of the shooters shoots one of the guys at the front door, and I guess it was like some casualty fire because there were a lot of ladies dropping down too. I think I don't know if the shooters are closing their eyes. There's no shooting ranges, obviously, in Japan, because it was trooper aim for sure. Nobody had any type of vision or sight on their weapons. So, and then the one security guard, we've seen him previously before, though. I feel like he was part of Tozawa's like gang, or he might have just
he's
been
part
there.
of Tozawa's gang.
Okay, but he's like, I wouldn't say he's not the driver. He's like maybe like third in command, I guess you could say. I don't know his name for
like
sure.
One of the lieutenants,
right, one of the lieutenants though. I know he's pretty up there, but he's not like a regular foot soldier, I guess you can call him. So he's sitting there at the door, and he's like, "Shoot me!" Right? I mean, his eyes are saying like, "Shoot me! You're not gonna shoot me!" Right? He's calling these bluff, and you and me both, we can tell in our heads, like, all right, I know who that is with the gun because he looks scared and fragile, right? I'm like, oh, gotta be Kaito, right? Like, look at him. Like, he looked like he's scared to shoot him. Like, if this was the assassination 10th of Tozawa, gone. Like, that day he was trying to run up on him, talking about I'm fast.
Yeah, we saw that, though. We see that.
He was fast, though. He was fast. All right, I will say that. Okay. He wasn't lying about that. School track helps. So the guy gets ready to run after Kaito, and Kaito like closes his eyes and puts his head down and shoots. Happens to hit the guy, I guess, like in the neck, but I don't think it's like no major artery type stuff. It's like a flesh wound, right? Great. Then like somebody to be able to identify you, you know. And then we see Kaito and the other assailant. They run down the alley, take a couple turns, jump on a bus. Not the best escape plan. If I had one, jumping on the public transit after trying to murder somebody, that don't seem right. Did you feel like there's some holes in this plan right here? Like,
there were some holes in this plan. From what I saw too, the first assailant gets on the bus no problem, and the bus is about to pull off, and then all of a sudden we see a foot hold the door and gets on the bus, and it turns out it's Kaito wearing these real like fly looking sneakers.
I think they were Bathing Apes, man. Bathing Ape, I'm pretty sure. And I think it was before Bathing Ape really got really popular in 2000.
Okay.
This was like the 90s when they were first made. So that would make sense.
So he caught the bus. He is fast. He did back that claim up.
He did.
But he has an identifying factors now. His sneakers for one.
Yep.
Because we kept highlighting the shoes up until the end of the episode.
Right.
So, and then we're left with Kaito having to deal with breathing, realizing he just shot somebody probably for the first time and not doing the job properly. didn't
He didn't even
finish the
finish it.
job. So I can only imagine what Hayama is gonna do to him next episode. Probably pistol whip him or something,
He
and
might.
just
He
like,
actually might. Matter of fact, when we find out, I mean, remember he had that black eye before from fighting, so
yep,
that kind of gave us a testament that like he not doing too good. Like
no, he not.
as far as like street skills, it's not for him. But yeah, he has identifying factors at this point as far as like his shoes. But I wonder if like, I mean, in the 90s, were there bus cameras, like cameras on the bus?
I
I
don't
can't
think
remember.
so.
I mean, I remember school buses, we got the little box camera in the top and they said it was
Right.
on, but you don't, I mean,
It was
yeah,
never on.
yeah, we was doing whatever and then nobody caught us. So I'm like, was this the same type of bus camera? So I don't know. I feel like somehow they're gonna lead back to Kaito because if anything, I mean, if it doesn't lead back to him, Hayamo will probably throw him under the bus and say he did it. And he did it alone. Like I never told him to do anything. He did it on his own. But overall, I think it was a pretty good episode, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it. I mean, was there any other points that you want to talk on that you felt like?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
If you remember when Samantha's still looking for money, right? She's trying to find a way to get this money. We commercial or talk show about a male host that's making a crap ton of money.
Oh yeah, we did see that.
Showing off the watch, showing off the suit. So I looked up before we came on air who that guy is. That's Akira from season 1. That's Paulina's boyfriend.
Oh my god.
So who's to say now she's gonna go run into Paulina's boyfriend who's making all this money as a male host? Probably sleep with him too to get her girl situated.
Yeah.
I thought when we were watching it, I thought this is really random to have a male host talk about how much money he's making.
Yeah, it's a weird segment.
So before we came on, I'm searching at the cast and I click on one of the cast members and it's the same actor that played that guy. So it's Paulina's boyfriend from season 1. So I wonder what's going to happen now. I wonder if he knows Paulina's dead for one.
Yeah,
for two, is Samantha going to seduce him like she does everybody else to get what she needs?
Damn you, Samantha.
So yeah, we started this episode talking about everyone's out for themselves, right? So Samantha, Nagata, even Emmy's out for herself. She got her little man friend over here.
Yeah, that's stuff's getting crazy.
Tintin out for himself, and the only people that we realize are about family, to quote Dom Toretto, is Katagiri and what's his face? And Sato.
Yeah.
Maybe Jake when he's back home.
He's right here for me. He's right here for me right now. Yeah.
But Sato and Katagiri are the two moral compasses of this show so far this season. And I'm waiting for Sato to pull his Punisher redemption arc where he just comes back locked and loaded like Frank Castle and just starts taking out everybody. Bam, 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 bam.
I would love that, to be honest with you.
And then Hayama's gonna have Kaito like this. And if this happens, guys, you heard it here first, he's gonna have Kaito like, I'm gonna take your brother out. And then boom, Hayama gets shot in the head. Or Kaito gets shot through so he could kill Hayama.
There you go.
Just so Sato could get out that life. But anyway, that's my weird divergent theory.
That would be a perfect ending for me, to be honest with you.
For Sato.
I'd be like, all is well. All is well. Everything is perfect now in the world of Tokyo Vice. Hayama is gone. Everybody can go back to their regular day. Thank God. But if you
it was a good episode.
It was good, right? If you had to rate this episode out of 5, what would you give it?
About 3.75.
Okay. I'd give it a 4. It's pretty good. It was a good one. I think it's I think the one thing that all of these episodes do for us is that they don't give us too many open-ended questions, but they always kind of like trickle and lead into something better though,
Correct.
And there's never been, I don't think there's ever been an episode that's been like a filler episode either. Like they're
Mm-mm.
all purposeful, you know, and they all have had, you know, enough content to really like be able to be equally compared to one another though as well. So
Yes.
great episode 7, man. Yeah, so guys at home, make sure you check out Tokyo Vice season 2 episode 7 premiering on March 14th on Max. If you like content like this or more reviews, go ahead and check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com. Until next time, peace.
Peace.